Namah Shivaya. Today's topic is Ramayana. Ramayana has a very high place in Hinduism. Ramayana and in general Ramakatha or Rama's story has utmost influence on the people following Hinduism, Hindus. Actually, if you ask any layman, which is your Dharma Grantha, scripture, the spontaneous answer on many occasions will be Ramayana, especially in North India. This shows the impact of Ramayana on the Hindu society. And it is not baseless also. It was Ramayana which made the lofty ideals, sublime ideals of Sanatana Dharma accessible to laymen, to ordinary people. Not only ordinary people, even great scholars, Dharma Acharyas, give Ramayana a very high place when discussions on Dharma, philosophy, etc. comes. There are many Ramayanas we know, from Valmiki's Adi Kavya, the Sanskrit Itihasa, to many vernacular versions of Ramayana, some of which are the famous Ramacharitamanasa in Hindi, Kamba Ramayana in Tamil, Adhyatma Ramayanam Kilipattu by Tunjat Eഴുത്തച്ഛൻ in Malayalam, Kritivasa Ramayana in Bengali, Ekanath Ramayana in Marathi, Ranganath Ramayana in Telugu. And there are Ramayanas in almost all languages of India. Not only that, even outside India there are Ramayanas. So this all underlines the importance of Ramayana in matters related to Hinduism. There is a sloka, a verse in Valmiki Ramayana which goes like this: Veda Vedye Pare Pumse Jade Dasharathatmaje Vedaha Prachedasad Asid Sakshat Ramayanatmana. A simple translation of the verse will be like this: when the Supreme God, Paramapurusha, incarnated as Rama through Dasharatha, as Dasharatha's son, Vedas incarnated themselves through Valmiki as Ramayana. This verse which comes in Ramayana underlines the importance of Ramayana and its authenticity. It is said that the Vedas itself took birth as Ramayana through Valmiki. What is implied is the Vedic instructions, Vedic philosophy, darshana, Vedic culture, these all can be found in Valmiki's Ramayana. So actually Valmiki's Ramayana, if understood well, will give the essence of Vedas, which are the fundamental texts of Sanatana Dharma, Hinduism. Taking into account all these things, we will have to approach Ramayana. I am restricting this discussion mainly to Valmiki's Ramayana, but at times I will discuss about other Ramayanas also. So when the discussion on Ramayana should be done in three aspects. One is, it is a kavya, Adi Kavya, written by the great sage Valmiki. At the end of each chapter of Ramayana, you will see a concluding line which denotes the end of the chapter like this: Ityarshe Valmikiye Adi Kavye Ramayane. In this way, that concluding sentence of each sarga chapter goes. So this is Adi Kavya according to Ramayana itself. So we have to approach Ramayana as a kavya. The first written kavya of human race is Valmiki's Ramayana. Then you may be aware of the fact that Hinduism has two itihasas, which are Ramayana of Valmiki and Mahabharata of Vyasa. So when it is approached as an itihasa, elements of history comes into it, because itihasa is by definition puravrittam kathayuktam. That is, something happened in the past is presented mixing stories in it. So there are many imaginary stories also in itihasas, but it has a very strong foundation of history. So when we take Ramayana as an itihasa, we will have to search the ancient history of India in it. The story of the dynasties, the Surya Vamsha, the Surya dynasty, then the Vanara Vamsha of Sugriva and Bali, and the Rakshasa Vamsha, to which Ravana and the demons are related. So in a way it is a history also. Then, as I mentioned earlier, it is a scripture also. Ramayana is the scripture of layman. Every man and woman look into Ramayana and find out the solutions, the scriptural solutions to their problems. Not only philosophers, acharyas, even ordinary people find solace and direction in their worldly life as well as spiritual life from Ramayana, because Ramayana gives the essence of Vedas, as I mentioned earlier. So we have to approach Ramayana in these three aspects, but here in this lecture let us mainly focus on Ramayana as a dharma grantha, because we are dealing with Sanatana Dharma Hinduism. So some aspects of dharma presented in Ramayana has to be focused in this lecture. So first of all, let us go through the story in a very quick manner. Then we will ponder upon some of the features of the Ramayana, the discussions, the narration, the characters, all these things. In this way we will present this lecture. So what is the structure of Valmiki's Ramayana? It is, as I mentioned, poetic. Mainly a meter called Anushtup is used in it, which has 32 syllables in each verse. And there are 24,000 verses in Ramayana, most of which are in this same meter, and at some in places a change of meter you can see. And these 24,000, almost 24,000 verses are divided into different sargas, we can call them chapters. And the broad classification of Ramayana is into kandas. There are 6 kandas and plus 1, 7 kandas, because the last kanda is considered not authentic by some of the scholars. So the first 6 kandas or 6 sections are named Balakanda, Ayodhya Kanda, Aranya Kanda, Kishkindha Kanda, Yuddha Kanda, Sundara Kanda and Yuddha Kanda. So in these 6 kandas, the whole story of Ramayana is developed. And after that there is an Uttara Kanda. The word itself means that it is somewhat like an annexure or an addition. So in these 6 kandas which I mentioned, the story of Rama is presented in detail. Rama, as we know, is considered as an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. But in Valmiki Ramayana, we can find Rama as a human being who faces many trials and tribulations in his life but sticks 100% to dharma and becomes a role model of dharma. So, in the beginning itself, the story starts with a dialogue between the great sage Valmiki and the celestial sage Narada. The opening verse of Valmiki's Ramayana, that is the first verse of Sarga 1, chapter 1 of Balakanda, goes like this. Tapaswadhyaya niradam, tapasvi vagvidamvaram, naradam paripapracha, Valmikir munipungavaha. Which means the great sage Valmiki asked the celestial sage Narada the following question. And then Valmiki asked Narada, Konvasmin sampradam loge gunavan kascha vidyavan dharmatnyascha kritatnyascha satyavakyo dridhavrataha. These adjectives are of a person of perfection. What Valmiki asks is, at present, who is in the world who is the knower of dharma, who sticks to his word, who follows dharma perfectly, who has all qualities, good qualities, human qualities, and a list goes on. So, as an answer to this question, Narada very precisely presents Rama's story and Rama's qualities. Ikshvaku vamsha prabhavo Ramo nama janaihi sruta. This is the verse that comes in the answer given by Narada, that there is a great, a noble human being born in the Ikshvaku Vamsha, the Ikshvaku's dynasty, that is Surya dynasty, and his name is Rama. And Narada precisely gives the qualities of Rama as well as the Rama's story also. And after that, Valmiki gets a divine vision of Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma asks Valmiki to narrate the story precisely told by Narada in length and make a kavya with Rama as the central character. And obeying the orders of Lord Brahma, Valmiki elaborately describes Rama's story. And it becomes a Ramayana Adikavya with 6 kandas, as I told you, 6 sections, and around 24,000 slokas, verses. So, this epic poem gives us the essence of Rama's life as well as the essence of Vedic Dharma. How should one live in this world? How should one face challenges? When there is a conflict between different duties or dharmas of a person, what to be adopted? And how a person following adharma, unrighteousness, has to face the consequences. All these things related to dharma is elaborately discussed in Ramayana. And what is the impact of Ramayana on Indian society? Let me tell the story in brief, because many of you know the story. Rama was born to Dasharatha as a result of a yajna, a ritualistic sacrifice called Putrakameshti was performed by him. And Rama had 3 brothers also, younger brothers, Lakshmana, Bharata and Shatrughna, and they lived together. And in their childhood itself, after they have completed their studies from their Kulaguru Vasishta, the great sage Vishwamitra comes and takes them to the forest for protecting his yajna, Vishwamitra's yajna, and he successfully completes his mission of protecting the yajna. And then they travel to Mithila, where the king Janaka rules, and Rama's Swayamvara with Sita takes place, and they come back, and here the first section Balaganda ends, And in the next section, Dasharatha decides to coronate Rama as the prince. But there comes Kaikeyi asking for some boons which was offered to her earlier by Dasharatha and bound to be sanctioned. Dasharatha was in a dilemma because Kaikeyi asked as the first boon coronation of Bharata, and as the second boon sending Rama into exile into the forest for 14 years. But Rama comes and happily accepts Kaikeyi's wishes, and even though everybody asked him not to go to the forest, even his father himself, but Rama finds the subtle dharma in this context, because making his father's promise come true was his dharma as a son. So he goes to the forest, and then his younger brother Bharata, who was not present there at this point of time, he comes back to Ayodhya on finding out the realities, which includes even the death of his own father because of the separation from his son Rama. Bharata becomes very angry, and he goes to the forest and meets Rama and persuades him to come back, but Rama sticks to his vow of making his father's words true. So Bharata returns with Rama's sandals, and he tells that at the completion of 14 years Rama has to come back and take back the kingdom. And then Rama goes into the dense forest. There some other dramas takes place, and Sita was kidnapped by the demon king Ravana, and she was kept under his custody in Lanka in the Ashokavana. And Rama feels the excruciating pain of separation of Sita. And when Rama went to forest, Lakshmana, his brother, also had followed him. These stories you know. Then with Lakshmana, Rama goes in search of Sita, and they befriends with Sugriva, the king of the Vanara king's brother, Bali's brother. And as they make a pact between them, Rama and Sugriva, and Rama kills Bali, who did a lot of wrongs against Sugriva, and Rama coronates Sugriva as the king of Kishkinda, the Vanara's kingdom. And after that, Sugriva sends his army in search of Sita, and the team that went southwards reaches the point where they cannot proceed because of the ocean, and there Hanuman jumps to Lanka and finds out Sita, and he meets Ravana and advises Ravana to give Sita back to Rama, but Ravana doesn't accept his advice, and Hanuman comes back, informs everything to Rama, and the whole army of Vanaras march towards the south. They make a bridge across the ocean and reaches Lanka, and before the battle between Rama and Ravana starts, Ravana's brother Vibhishana comes to Rama's side, and then the fierce battle takes place between Rama and Ravana, and in the end Ravana with all his supporters are killed, and Sita is retrieved from Ravana's custody, and they come back to Ayodhya, which is Rama's kingdom, and Rama's coronation takes place as the king of Ayodhya. Actually here the Ramayana of Valmiki ends, but as I told you, an Uttarakanda is there in Valmiki's Ramayana, in which the abandoning of Sita and all those stories are there, and Rama's going back to his heavenly abode. All these things are depicted in the Uttarakanda, which is considered by some scholars as an interpolation. So this story of Rama teaches us how to lead life in the most righteous manner, in the most dharmic manner. In another lecture, we will come to the discussion of dharma in Ramayana. But here, what is the impact of this Rama's story on the Hindu society, that we can just discuss. Many poets have written many works in different languages, as well in Sanskrit as well as in other regional languages, which are very much dependent on the Rama's story given by the great sage Valmiki. As I mentioned you, there are many Ramayanas in different Indian languages, and in Sanskrit itself there are many Ramayanas written after Valmiki Ramayana, like Achyutāmṛta Ramayana in Sanskrit, then Ananda Ramayana, Adbhuta Ramayana, Bhushundi Ramayana, and philosophical works like Vasishtha Ramayana, Yoga Vasishtha, which also takes its story from Valmiki's Ramayana. In this way, many Ramayanas are there in Sanskrit and other languages. Then there are many Kavyas like Raghuvamsham. Then many dramas in Sanskrit like Uttara Ramacharidam, Hanuman Nadagam, Ashcharya Chudamani. And in this way, many literary works were created after Valmiki wrote the great Valmiki's Ramayana. In this way, the impact of Ramayana on the literary and philosophical field of Sanatana Dharma was very great. And many Vedantic schools took Ramayana as a important topic to establish their philosophy. For example, Vishishtadvaita, which was propounded by the great Acharya Ramanuja, their school considers Ramayana as a source of dharma, and their followers, great scholars in their lineage, has commented upon Valmiki's Ramayana and established their Vishishtadvaita philosophy. In the same way, the Madhva Sampradaya of Dvaita, they also have written Ramayana Tatparya Nirnaya. The great Acharya Madhva himself has written Ramayana Tatparya Nirnaya to establish the Dvaita philosophy. And the great Advaita Acharya Shankaracharya himself has mentioned the phrase Valmikir Munipungavaha in his Brahma Sutra Bhashya. So all these great philosophical acharyas, the darshanika acharyas, have considered Ramayana at a very high place. In this way, we can find that Valmiki's Ramayana and the story of Rama has a great impact on the Hindu society, and it is considered as an authority when matters related to dharma comes. Decisions are made according to the injunctions given in Ramayana. Many definitions of dharmic ideas can be found in Ramayana, and it is a source of inspiration and enlightenment for the Hindu society, and it is a scripture like work, a dharma grantha for the followers of Sanatana Dharma. So we can consider Ramayana as a great source of inspiration and enlightenment when matters related to dharma comes.